Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk About House. I'm Todd.
I'm Juana.
Okay, we are going to talk about home affordability because we literally right now have the worst affordability ever. We have a bunch of numbers and we have charts that are going to show this. But what we're going to do is we're going to pick apart this idea of affordability because it's sort of a made up thing, right?
Well, I think I think it's mislabeled.
Okay. So let's do this. Let's start with the article, and as we go through, we'll talk about like what does this mean. Okay. This is from Redfin.
Okay.
Redfin's from the Redfin blog. 16% of home listings were affordable for the typical household in 2023. Likely the bottom for housing affordability.
Mm-hmm.
So Juana, first of all, let's just assume this is what they're saying is the case.
Mm-hmm.
If it's the bottom for affordability, does that mean more, or homes will be more affordable in the future or less affordable?
Well, so they're saying that homes are going to be more affordable. Yay!
Okay, then why didn't the housing market crash if homes were the lowest affordability they've ever been in the history since the crust of the earth cooled, since Redfin was first came around in 1720?
Sorry, I can't get past that part. Okay. 1720 Redfin, yeah, that's really good. So no, look, homes are as affordable as the market will bear. And I know that that's not necessarily the answer that people are looking for, but that's really where we are. I mean, if homes were truly that unaffordable, then home prices would go down and homes would be more affordable, right? But homes are priced where the market has determined the value of the home is and where there are sufficient buyers to purchase those homes.
Here's a quote from the article. Just 15.5% of homes for sale in 2023 were affordable for the typical U.S. household, the lowest share on record. That's down from 20.7% in 2022 and more than 40% before the pandemic home buying boom. If homes were affordable for every single person, 363 million Americans. Currently, in all MLSs, there's 1.3 million homes available. There's about 4 million homes sold that'll be sold this year. If homes were so affordable that all 360 million people could buy them, but there were only 4 million. So if you had 4 million of an item that was going to sell in a year, and there was 363 million people trying to buy them, would that put an upward or downward pressure on price?
I remember Beanie Babies.
Beanie Babies, those things were out of control. Like, they were super expensive. I had a friend who used to trade them on eBay. They were crazy what people were paying for Beanie Babies. Okay.
Right. But that makes the point about supply and demand.
Okay.
Okay. And that's what you're talking about. You're talking about 360 million Americans. We're talking about 1 million homes on the market right now, 4 million sales in round numbers for 2023. And so you are talking about supply and demand, and that's why I brought up Beanie Babies, because it was the same kind of thing. You had so many people chasing relatively few Beanie Babies, and you had people paying astronomical amounts for these Beanie Babies. Now, the difference is that real estate is so much more valuable and has a much longer useful life than a Beanie Baby does.
Okay, here's another quote that we have kind of gone over. Housing affordability is expected to improve in 2024 as mortgage rates fall and more homes go up for sale. Nowhere in here does it mention the price of a house, like the actual price of a house. It's only talking about mortgage rates.
Right, so this is a discussion we had, that how much is a $500,000 home at a 4% interest worth?
$500,000.
How much is a $500,000 home at 20% interest worth?
$500,000.
Right. Interest rate and value of the home, not the same thing. It's not a seesaw thing. They're not.
It's not bonds.
No. So here's, and for a lot of reasons, but one of them is, and the thing that we know we're all very aware of, 29% of the homes out there are purchased cash. So do they care about the interest rate? Not really. I mean, what difference does it make to them? So once you take those people off the table, then you mix in everybody else, and everybody else, well, they're putting money down. And the other thing to keep in mind is, if you take Todd and I, we are both looking at, let's say we both have the same credit score, the same income, the same down payment, the same house, the same price, the same everything, except Todd is getting a VA loan. I am getting a conventional loan. Are we going to have the same interest rate? No. So, even with all things being equal, our payments are not going to be the same. So this whole thing about payments and all that, there's so much to calculate in there that to put a one-size-fits-all is really not applicable.
Also, what if you're trying to buy $1 million house and you had just sold 2 of your rentals for $400,000 each? So now you're only borrowing $200,000 because you want to live in a higher priced area, or you're moving to a more expensive city, or who knows, right? You're just spending more money on a house. So
I want to buy my forever home.
Forever home. Okay. Here's a chart. This is a beautiful chart that Redfin helped me make. Okay. Okay. This is affordability since 2013, which is probably since they started track as far back as they had data that they could track it. Right. They would have gone back further if they could have got it. Okay. It says just 16% of homes for sale in 2023 were affordable, but 16 times 3 is 48, which is less than 50, which means they're less than a third of affordable, which means if you're strictly looking at dollar amounts, home prices would have had to have tripled since 2013, which they have not. This is literally, if you flip this upside down, and if you flip it upside down or invert the percentages, this literally is interest rates. It's literally interest rates. This whole thing about affordability is strictly about interest rates. It has nothing to do with all the other factors that we talked about with affordability, which are the price of the house. Because like you said, if you're cash, it's affordable because you just pay the cash and now I afforded it. I have the house.
Right.
Are we a culture, because I've said this before, here's my take, and you may have the same take since you're Romanian, you're Eastern Europeans are super like hardcore and everything. I was in the Marines and I remember buying a house one time. My total pay for all my pay without a spouse working was $2,300 a month, and I had $1,100 a month payment.
I've had that.
And I did not go out to dinner for 2 years. We literally could not afford to go out to dinner and spend $40-$50 on dinner because I had to make a mortgage payment. And then today you have people that they go to Starbucks and then they get avocado toast and then they have Netflix, they have like Netflix, Hulu, and all these other subscriptions for streaming, and then all these other things that they're paying for, going out to dinners and lunch and stuff. And then they go, well, I have to pay $2,000 a month because I can't afford $2,500 a month mortgage payment because that $500, I just don't have it. Mm-hmm. And what's happened to the home price the whole time home prices are ticking up. If you look at this chart, damn it, you should have gone back. You should have bought the house back in 13, 14, 15, 16. So here's my theory, Juana. Mm-hmm. I think people in 2016 said, they were a lot cheaper in 2013. I'll just wait till the home prices go back down to that level. And then in 2019, they said, you know what? If I didn't know they would have gone up, I would have bought one in 2016. But now in 2019, I'm halfway till they go back to 2016 price. So they just keep playing the stupid game of regret, and they're just not going to buy a house.
Yeah, that about covers it.
Okay. Am I being too hard? Because there's a lot of people get up in the upset. Well, they blame us for home housing afforded. Like we're cheering it. We're not cheering it. We're just pointing out that most people it's a lot of complaining.
Okay, so I mean, some of it I agree with you on. Some of it I think you're a little off on.
Okay,
but I think your overall premise is probably correct as far as people's financial choices. I'm not of the school that believes that everybody is eating out, every day or anything like that. But I am of the school that believes that people do spend money not always wisely. And particularly now that we spend money with our cards, it just makes it so much easier to spend money and not notice it. And I think that's part of the problem. And to kind of address the other thing that you were sort of alluding to, the whole payment culture. And I think that's an issue as well. Rather than looking at things for for their value. People are looking at things regarding the payment, the debt that they have to service. So, you were talking about how you didn't get to go out to eat or anything like that. I think, a lot of us have been through that, when we were young, and maybe going out to dinner meant going to, as I used to call it, Chez Costco, where you can dine on a hot dog and a soda for $1.50. So some of us, that was our date night, okay? And where are we today? Well, we're better off today than we were then, because we learned the value of money. We learned how to manage our money. And as our incomes grew, we didn't necessarily have our expenses grow commensurate with our income. We grew into into better financial choices.
I'm going to put this next chart up. This chart is the number of affordable home listings of all the listings, and you can see it's a 40.9% drop just from 2022. It's a substantial drop from pre-pandemic, right? You could see this is a combination of interest rate and the home price. Okay, but if you flip this upside down, it's mostly interest rates. Okay, now there were more homes on the market. Now, we don't even have 1.3 million homes on the market. If you look at the up here, it says like 1.3 million homes were affordable in 2013. Well, there were a lot more listings available in 2013 than there are today. So that's why this percentage is a lot less. But, we talked about the payment culture. People are payment. Okay, top 20 stock. If I could go back in time to 2000, so 23 years ago, and tell you that we're going to pick 20 stocks that are going to have the highest returns. These stocks are going to kill it over the next 20 years, right? You would say, okay, Apple's got to be one of them. Amazon. These are tech companies that everybody uses every day, right? Amazon, Apple, NVIDIA, probably even Tesla would be in there, right? Hard tech companies, okay? Do you know what other two companies are in that top 20 list?
Tell us.
MasterCard and Visa.
Yeah.
MasterCard and Visa, because like Juana said, everyone's got one, and your little, it's so easy to buy. I bought it. You don't have to even pull out the wallet and go. A lot of times you just with the phone, you just hold the phone up, bling, and you paid. It's super easy. When you don't have to worry about it, you just can run. It's easy to run up debt. And MasterCard and Visa is making a ton of money, and you're not buying a house, right? MasterCard, Visa, they got the big house down the street. They're living in style. They overlook the city. They got a pool, right? They have a bunch of houses, but you don't have a house because you gave them all your money.
Well, Jeff Bezos is going to space.
Jeff Bezos is in space. He's got a bunch of houses. He probably can afford a house. Okay, what we're trying to point out is this is going to get better, right? When we show you this chart next year, this thing's probably going to pop up because interest rates are going to drop a lot, and there's going to be more listings available next year than this year. Okay, now here's a couple other things we're going to talk about. Okay, here's a quote from the article. Mortgage rates have fallen from their October peak but remain higher than they were in 2022. The typical home buyer's monthly payment is roughly $250 more than it was a year ago. Elevated mortgage rates have also propped up housing costs by limiting supply. That's fake. They haven't propped up housing costs. Supply and demand are what determines the price of a home. Many homeowners are staying put instead of selling because they don't want to lose their ultra low interest rate. Not true. They realize they have a good investment and they don't want to give it up. That's bolstering home prices because it means buyers are competing for a limited pool of homes. That's true. That's supply and demand. Want it. Okay, someone is arguing, I'm not going to buy a home this year because it's $250 more than it was last year.
But you're paying at least $100 more in rent this year than last year.
That's the first thing. Your rent is up $100. If you were paying $2,000 last year, paying $2,100 this year. So that's $150. Wages were up almost 6% year over year. So unless you're a minimum wage worker, which if you are, then buying a house out of the question. And we know in Vegas, the median income's about $78,000. If you get a 6% raise, it's way more than $150 a month. So you're in a better financial position this year with wages being up. And the fact that you're competing against rent,
Right.
like
And
Wanda said.
well, and of course your taxes would be less because you've got the home interest deduction, you've got property tax deduction, so your deductions are covering. So your tax liability is covering some of that $150 because you're paying less in taxes. So all of a sudden, you're either on par with rent or pretty close. It might be a little more, a little less, but a lot closer. So it's more like the difference between going out to dinner one extra time a month or not.
Right. The good news is housing affordability has already started to improve, and Redfin expects it to continue improving in 2024. Have you ever met Redfin?
I have not met Redfin.
I don't know who this is. I always like it when they quote a corporation. Bank of America says. What does that mean? How does Bank of America say something? They can't say anything. Okay, this is what really got kind of us going. We're going to read through this and talk about it. In San Francisco, 0.3% of homes for sale in 2023 were affordable for the typical local household. 0.3%. That's 1 in 300 homes. It's less than one in 300 homes. Down from 0.4%, which is 1 in 250 homes in 2022. Or people. No, that's that many homes are affordable. The smallest decline in Metro's Redfin analyzed, and then these other markets are also listed here. Okay, this absolutely makes zero sense, and this is why. I'm guessing, let's say that they were massively affordable, 10 times more affordable pre-pandemic. Mm-hmm. So 3% of, then how is it possible if only 3% of homes are affordable that any homes ever sold if only 3% of the people could actually afford to buy them?
Well, let's see. An insufficient inventory and more buyers than sellers.
Okay, that's pretty good, but this is the actual reason. This 0.3% is for your typical household. So when people that make $10,000 a year more probably jumped up to 2.5%. And then when you add another $10,000 onto that, it probably went to 6.4%. And then people that make 30 grand a year more than them, it was probably over 10%. So all of a sudden, the higher you go up the income scale, the more people can afford. So the people who make, let's call it high-level tech people, 300 grand a year, airline pilots, right? Those super high income people. These people take in 20-something thousand a month, probably about 20 grand a month. All of a sudden, they're buying a $1.3, $1.4 million home, which is an average home in the Bay Area. It's affordable for all of them. They can all buy it, 100% of people. So if you were to look at the statistic and said, hey, in San Francisco, 100% of the homes that are in the average range are affordable for people that make over $300,000 a year, you would say they're the ones buying all the houses. Mm-hmm. So remember, we know markets where 0.1, 0.2% of the available inventory of homes are available. Coronado is one of them. Less than 0.1% of the homes, 1 in 1,000 homes, are available for sale. Mm-hmm. So if you're driving around, you don't see for sale signs everywhere. You drive by a bunch of houses to see them, condos, places like that. Well, who's buying them? Not the average person, because there's not enough for the average person. Mm-hmm. So some of this is a little bit ridiculous. I'll tell you what's not affordable: paying rent. Why is that, Juana?
Okay, so paying rent is not affordable because your rent goes up every year, and you're not in control of that. Your income, whether your income goes up or not, is not relevant to your landlord. Your landlord will raise the rent every year. If you have a mortgage, and here in the U.S., we are fortunate enough that most people, I think it's over 95% people, that have mortgages, have fixed rate mortgages, which means that their payments don't go up. Yes, your property taxes go up, and yes, your insurance goes up, but that's pretty nominal compared to what your rent would go up every year if you were paying rent. So people here in the U.S., because we have fixed rate mortgages, we have the opportunity to take better control of our housing costs by owning a home either free and clear without having payments, or by having a fixed rate mortgage.
To the people we've had a lot of people come on the channel the last couple of weeks, and say, oh, well, they're realtors and they're always saying home prices are going to go up. Well, God, history's on our side, right? They pretty much, except for 3 years, have gone up for the last 50 years here in Vegas. And, so we're kind of right. I mean, you say we say that, but there's no reason to, we're right. Okay. Here's the actual numbers for Vegas, though. This is what I'm not sure about these numbers. Remember, these are Redfin numbers. Okay. That number on the left, 6.3%, that's the number for Vegas for affordability for an average, the number of homes that are affordable for an average earner here. Bless you.
Excuse me.
Okay. 7.3% was last year. The minus 3.8% is the number of available listings less than last year. So we have 43%, about half the number of listings total for the whole MLS. For the city of Vegas, it's actually less than half, but for the whole MLS, it's down 43%. First of all, this is going to improve next year substantially as interest rates change. But remember, the average buyer, the median income earner is not buying median homes. The people buying homes are people above the median, right? For the most part, remember, we'll probably sell 35 or 40,000 homes in Vegas this year. We have 2.6 million people. Mm-hmm. So the bottom half, even if everyone in the top half, 1.3 million people, right? And you could even say, okay, we'll just call it 1 million. We'll take out the kids. If 1 million people want to buy a house in Vegas this year, in a really good year, we do 50 or 60,000. Mm-hmm. So that's only 5 or 6% of 1 million. So 1 million people aren't going to buy a house. How many people are going to buy a house next year in Vegas, Juana? 50,000 maybe? If it's a good year?
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to have that many homes for sale, but it's a possibility. I think that there are a lot of people that are sitting on the sidelines, and it's not just Vegas, it's everywhere. Like I said before, sellers have been frozen in place for a long time, and they're about to just kind of take the plunge, and some of them are going to sell, some are going to keep the property as a rental. But we will definitely see more properties turn in 2024 than in 2023. Right.
The bottom line is that, yes, if you're a middle average income earner, if you make them, which in Vegas I think is 76,000 is the median income in Las Vegas, family income. Okay, you're probably not going to go out and buy a house in Red Rock Country Club, Anthem Country Club, the Ridges, or any place like that, unless you happen to have a ton of cash. And you're probably not buying the $450,000 median, like kind of Summerlin-ish, smaller home, or just a, average size home in Vegas. You're not buying it with that income. Why? Because, half the population, 1.3 million people, so hundreds of thousands of people make more money than you, whether you like it or not, and they can come buy the 40 or 50,000 houses a year. Which is really what's happening. The people we're working with are not. When was the last time we worked with somebody not selling their listing, but buyer? We don't work with a ton of buyers. It was actually like, I make 40 grand a year. Has it been? It's been a while. 2005 or 6 or 4?
That's what I'm thinking.
2004 or 5. Yeah, everybody's buying a house. Yeah. I make, $250.
Yeah, it's been a long
our
time.
Combined income is $200,000. We want to buy.
Well, not everybody makes $200,000, but I think combined incomes, they tend to be. Even back then, combined incomes were $80,000 or better.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So that's sort of our rant. The good news, though, is housing is going to become more affordable, whether prices go up or down strictly based on interest rates, which I think is a terrible metric. I have never liked this idea of your monthly payment because it's not, you don't make the monthly payment forever.
Right.
You make a rent payment forever.
Right. So, I think that's the bottom line of this. That when they're talking about affordability, that they're talking about your mortgage payment versus a rent payment. But all this whole idea of basing all of your choices on payments rather than on value, I think is a poor premise to have you function financially. I think value is more important. I think that we all make financial choices, whether they're good or bad, And we have to keep value in mind. Does this add value to my life? Does it add value to what I'm trying to accomplish? So kind of what you were talking about before as far as our spending choices, right? Whatever we spend money on, and I'm not judging, I don't do Starbucks, but if you do Starbucks, good on you, I'm sure it's lovely. But whatever choices you're making, do they give you enough value versus the cost? And sometimes, it makes sense to do a little belt tightening to achieve a goal like home ownership. So that's my take on it.
Here's my take.
Okay.
And then you can finish the video.
Okay.
Okay. This is my take. To those people renting, paying $2,000 a month, because you don't want to pay 25, 6, 7, 800 or whatever, and you're paying to own a house because you can't afford it, but you're paying $700, $800, $900 a month to rent to lease a car or to buy a car, and that's your payment. Remember, the car's declining in value. Mm-hmm. You just spend a bunch of money because you wanted a new Mercedes or something like that, and you're renting, but you're driving around a super expensive car. Maybe you should make a different car choice and go buy the house.
Okay.
No, I think so. Like, look, if you're super, we have friends that are super rich. They have we just went to a friend's house. He showed us his brand new Ferrari Testarossa. It's red. It's gorgeous. But guess what? He makes a ton of money. He can afford it. Okay? If you want to build wealth, then you got it. You're going to have to buy a house. Mm-hmm. That's how you build wealth. And you don't have to use us to buy the house. We don't care. We're just trying to tell you that maybe you should stop eating avocado toast in Starbucks. And that'll solve half of affordability right there.
Oh my God. Okay. Ignore that.
Yeah. We're going to get filleted in the comments. They're going to just kill us in the comments.
I don't think
they're
it's
being mean. Todd, I could hear my neighbor crying. Okay? It was so bad.
All right. So in the comments, leave us your real estate related comments. Give Todd some compliments about his wardrobe choice.
Yeah, he
looks really nice with the red shirt and the nice silk jacket. Give him some applause over his new iPad that he's doing the fabulous videos on. And we hope that you enjoyed the video and you had a good time. Maybe you laughed. If you threw vegetables at your screen, well, go ahead and eat your vegetables now. Please remember to like the video, subscribe, hit the notification bell, share the video, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye.
Bye.